Hey, what's up everybody? This is Caroline. Welcome back to part 7 of Beginning Metal. In this video, we're going to become a tiny bit mathy and talk about matrices and how they help us move our game scene into the third dimension. Don't worry too much though, we're going to be treating the matrix method as a black box. We'll put a value in and get a value out. As long as you understand what matrices do, in this course you don't have to understand how to do the math underneath. However, if you continue with computer graphics, and I hope you will, math becomes very important. And I'll list some math resources at the end of this course. At the end of this video, we'll move the textured quad backward in the scene and rotate it. The quad looks as if it's scaled down, but it's actually a three-dimensional scene now, and the quad is moved further back into the scene. Notice the quad is square now too, because it's being projected correctly. You've probably come across transforms before. Transforms are a combination of translation, rotation, and scale. UI views have a CG affine transform property, which is actually the first two columns of a 3x3 matrix. So you've probably used transformation matrices before without really being aware of it. The order of applying the transform matters. Look what happens when we translate, rotate, and scale. And when we scale, rotate, and translate. The object ends up in a different place. Just for interest, this is what a matrix looks like internally. For a 4x4 matrix, there are 4 entries in the array, and each entry is 4 floats. Conceptually, each array entry is a column. So the first 4 floats is column 0, the second 4 floats is column 1, etc. And here's what's magic about matrices. You set up a matrix with a particular translation, rotation, and scale. You can then multiply this matrix with a position in space, or what we're calling a vertex. And that vertex translates, rotates, and scales according to the matrix. This is the one thing that you need to understand about matrices for this course. To move a three-dimensional object, you apply a 4x4 transformation matrix to all the object's vertices, and the object moves, rotates, and scales in three-dimensional space. Matrices allow us to transform a model between different coordinate spaces. When you create a model, you create it in something called model space. For example, all this mushroom's vertices are a certain distance away from the origin of 0, 0. Each vertex is in model space. But when we load this mushroom into a scene, we want to position the entire mushroom at a point in the scene. This is called world space. If we wanted to position and rotate the mushroom in world space, we would set up a matrix with translation and rotation values and multiply all the mushroom's vertices by this matrix. This matrix is called the model matrix because it transforms the model's vertices from model space to world space. What if we wanted to view the scene through a camera? Can you tell from this animation whether it's the mushroom that's moving or the camera that's moving? Effectively, it's the same thing, and we'll use a view matrix to describe the camera's position. But when we apply the view matrix to each model matrix, it will move the entire scene. Each model will have a model matrix which describes where it is in the scene. Before we send the model to the GPU, we'll multiply this model matrix by the camera's view matrix. And this matrix is called the model view matrix and determines where the model is in the scene, but also in relation to the camera. The last matrix transformation we'll have to apply is the projection. When we look at a scene, we expect objects that are further away to be smaller, just like these mushrooms, which are actually all the same size, but each is positioned further away from us. Projection looks like this. We have a camera or an eye position, and we look out from that position to a far plane. The near and far planes describe what is viewable. Anything in front of the near plane and anything behind the far plane will be clipped and not shown. The field of view might be familiar to those of you who use cameras. I'm going to choose 65 degrees for the field of view, but you can make this larger or smaller. And in one of the scenes we make later, we'll change the field of view to be narrower. The projection transform's a bit different from the other transformations. The model and view transformations are affine. This means that parallel lines are preserved. But we're trying to make objects at the back smaller, so the projection transform is not affine. You don't have to worry about this because I'm providing a method to create the projection matrix. But we will have to provide the field of view and near and far planes as parameters for it. The final vertex transformation takes place behind the scenes. Our vertex function outputs a position. This is input into the rasterizer, which takes the fourth component of that position. That's the W component, and divides the other components by it. This has the effect of taking the projected scene, normalizing all the coordinates, and flattening it to fit onto the screen. In the demo, I'm going to create the model, view, and projection matrices, and we'll see what happens at each stage. The result will be that our stretched zombie quad will be a square, and we'll position the quad in three-dimensional space back from the camera. Here's what the app looks like after the previous video's challenge, with this happy zombie in a picture frame. Our vertex coordinates for these two triangles are between minus and +1. These are normalized coordinates. No matter how big the screen is, -1 on the x-axis will always be on the very left, and +1 on the x-axis will always be on the very right. Our screen is longer on the y-axis, so the coordinates are stretched to fit the screen. Now we're going to move into the third dimension with proper perspective so that the quad will be square. Before I start, I'll remove the picture frame and the mask from gain seam. And I'll drag in a maths helper file from the resources for this video. This file gives us a couple of methods to convert between radians and degrees. It also has an extension on matrix float 4x4 to translate, scale and rotate matrices. You can examine this file at your leisure. In types.swift, I'll add a model constants definition with the model view matrix property in it. Each model will declare a model constant structure, and this matrix will be sent to the GPU to transform all the vertices of the model into camera space. An identity matrix is a sort of neutral matrix. Multiply any matrix by an identity matrix and you get the same matrix back. In plain, I'll get rid of constants and declare model constants. And change the render method too. We'll use animate by in a moment. First, I'll set up a scale matrix so that you can see how this works. I use one of the extension methods in matrixmath.swift to set up a scale matrix, and I then store that matrix in the model constant struct. We'll need to update the vertex function to use this matrix. I'll remove the constants struct as we won't need it anymore, and add the model constants struct. This must exactly match what we declared in types.swift. And I'll add a parameter to the vertex function to receive the model constants. We're sending these in buffer 1. Now we just need to multiply each vertex position by the scale matrix. And build and run. All the vertices are now scaled by half. How easy was that? Now let's add an animated rotation. Here I've created a rotation matrix using the function inMatrixMath.Swift. And here I multiply the rotation matrix with the scaled matrix, and so now the quad should be scaled and then rotated. Anytime I need to add a translate, scale or rotate, I just multiply the matrix by the new translation, scale or rotation matrix. So even though there's a lot of maths under the surface, it's quite simple to use. You set up one matrix with all the transforms in it by multiplying them together. And then in the vertex function, you can multiply each vertex's position by this matrix, and they all get transformed in the same way. Here I'm rotating only on the z-axis. That's the axis going straight into the screen. Build and run. And now that the quad is scaled and rotating, it's still warped. That's because it's still not being projected properly. We'll fix that up later. Instead of scaling the quad, I'm now going to pretend I have a camera and move the camera back. I do this by multiplying the quad's model matrix with a view matrix. I'll take out the scale matrix and create the view matrix for the camera. Using the view matrix, we can move the whole scene around by the same amount. And this is a matrix that's translated forward into the screen by -4 units. I'll multiply the rotation matrix and the view matrix together and store it in the model view matrix. This effectively moves the model away from the screen by 4 units. When I build and run now, the model's disappeared. This is because the model at 4 units away is outside the clipping space. The clipping space is between 0 and 1 in the z direction. So I need to include the projection matrix, which will project all the vertices back into clipping space. I'll set up an aspect ratio of the iPhone 6's screen size, and later on we'll change this to be more generic. And a projection matrix. This has a field of view of 65 degrees and sets 100 to be the far plane. If I were to change the view matrix to be translated back by -100, the quad would be tiny, and at -101 the quad disappears because it's outside the clipping space. And I'll multiply the model view matrix by the projection matrix. And build and run. The quad's now moved back from the screen by 4 units. It's not scaled. Remember, we took out the scale matrix. And even better, the vertices are being properly projected now so that the quad is square and not warped when it rotates. In the demo, I put all the matrix code in the planes render method. That's not a good place for it, as you want to be able to have child objects. Each child object's model matrix should be multiplied by its parent's model matrix, and here's why. Let's take an arm. You can move your forearm without moving your upper arm. But when you do move your upper arm, your forearm always moves. This makes your forearm a child of your upper arm. In model matrix terms, when you rotate your upper arm, the same matrix rotation should be applied to the child forearm. Your challenge is to add a second zombie quad as a child of the first. To do this, you'll do some refactoring, but you'll find full details in the accompanying challenge document. That's it for this video tutorial. In the next video, we'll take a look at depth and create a 3-dimensional cube. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.